All right, good afternoon. My name is Alan McCoy. I'm Director of Startup Support at the University of Maryland, and I'm very happy to welcome everybody who joined today's workshop on Startup Guide for the University of Maryland faculty and students. And today we even have some students or some people here attending in person, which I'm very happy about, and that's why I'm wearing this clear mask. We'll give it a try. I hope I don't look too weird. There's nothing wrong with my neck. Some people have asked me when I wore this before. This is a clear mask that we've been asked to wear that allows you to see the person's face, hopefully a little better than the regular mask. So again, thank you so much to everybody who joined us today. This workshop is recorded. It will be posted on our Startupguide.umd YouTube channel. I will share the link. And if you have any questions, you can ask them via the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. You have ability to ask those questions anonymously if you'd like to remain anonymous, and the same with chat. You can also ask via chat, comment via chat, and I believe you should be able to submit those anonymously as well. So let me go ahead and begin. So there's a lot of resources at the University of Maryland for those who wish to translate their research results into a product or service benefiting the public. So you are in the right place to try to do that, and fairly risk-free, and we'll talk about how. So I work with primarily University of Maryland faculty and graduate students in developing a customized path for you to develop your startup. Most of the resources and participation is free. However, we prefer to work with people who show some sort of progress and continued effort. And resources and efforts are divided loosely into 4 phases here in the steps of company development. We'll talk about it that way. So here's a glimpse of University of Maryland partners and resources. So there's a lot, and I will talk about many more about them in detail. So you can see across this campus, we have Young Ventures, MTech, Do Good Accelerator, Dingman Center and Do Good Accelerator work primarily with undergraduate students, University of Maryland Libraries, Momentum Fund, and such. And so there's a lot, and it's kind of hard to navigate and figure out where to go and when. So we'll talk about that. There's almost 600,000 in funding available for qualified intellectual property-based startups. These resources also laid out on Startupguide.umd.edu in more of a path format with links and other information. So step 1 is all about visibility. And the main goal is to ask a question: is there a potential for a startup, before you actually will go ahead and spend time and money into developing that startup. So the goal is to figure out, is there product market fit, to do some customer discovery, figure out what your minimum viable product design is, what is your business model, go-to-market strategy, and ultimately, is it a yay or nay on startup? So how do we do that? So first and foremost, it's really important to submit your intellectual property disclosure to UN Ventures. There's a link to do that. So UN Ventures will work with you to develop intellectual property protection plan. If any patents need to be filed, they will file them. The copyright protection and such. So they will take care of that. And there's a link to find the necessary form. Unfortunately, it is still an online, unfortunately, it is still a downloadable paper form that you can submit by email. They are working on developing a web-based form that would be easier to submit, but that's sometime in the future. The next step would be to participate in regional I-Corps. I-Corps is a real-world hands-on training on how to successfully incorporate innovations into successful products or solve societal problems. In reality, you would spend about 2 weeks doing 20 interviews with potential customers to try and get information on where would your innovation fit within their ecosystem. Would they want a solution that you've developed? How would they incorporate it? How would they buy it? How would they interact with it? So it's a great way to not only direct your startup development, but also to inform your research efforts as well. Next cohort is scheduled for January 2022. And you can sign up on I-Corps.umd.edu. And in addition to, there will be a info session coming up soon. And you can find that information on that same website and sign up to attend the info session. Once you've completed regional 2-week I-Corps, you most likely will be able to qualify for the national NSF I-Corps that comes with $50,000 in funding to continue doing your customer discovery and market research. Completing NSF I-Corps opens doors to not only gives you very useful information on how to proceed building your startup, but also opens up funding such as TEDCO funding and the chances of getting SBIR funding after completing national I-Corps get much, much higher. You're also all encouraged to schedule time with our entrepreneurs in residence. So we have a wide variety of successful cash-out entrepreneurs who built successful businesses, failed spectacularly as well. So you can learn from their mistakes and from their lessons learned as well. So they are available weekly for 1-hour sessions at no cost to you. And there's a link to sign up. And I know you can't see the link, but because of that, but I will share the slides with you.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So again, so they're available weekly for 1-hour sessions. And if you'd like to talk to me about which EIR, entrepreneur in residence, would be the best fit for you, I'm happy to discuss that with you. We have also developed business fundamentals for scientists workshop series, such as today's workshop. So these are hands-on workshops developed for University of Maryland faculty and grad students, mostly brilliant scientists who don't know a whole lot about how to start and run a business. So these are business concepts and skills taught by professionals, by business professionals. We work with other entities on campus to develop these workshops, and we have accountants, venture capitalists, and many other business professionals coming and teaching these workshops. So they are offered in hybrid and virtual only formats. So some like today's, for example, are open for people to come and watch these in person. We also record all of these workshops, so if you missed any, you can go to our YouTube, Startupguide YouTube channel, and there's a very rich library of workshops that we've been recording all throughout COVID and posted them on YouTube. And by the way, if I'm going too fast, please submit a question or chat, and also please let me know if you have any questions. So next we'll talk about, so once you've done your IP protection and customer discovery, you should be able to apply for the TEDCO MII technology validation phase grant. So this is a $115,000 that goes to your lab without any overhead. So the university does not take overhead, the entire amount goes to you. Of that amount, $15,000 goes to develop a commercialization plan. So you would find a commercialization planning consultant, possibly somebody who will be the business lead for your company. And you can pay them $15,000 to develop commercialization plan and also to see, can you work with that person? It's a good test to do that. $10,000 would be set aside. I apologize for that. My phone decided to call. The $10,000 will be is set aside for patent expenses if there are any. And $90,000 can be spent on PI salaries, graduate student salaries, if you need to buy or lease any equipment for your project, for your tech validation project, you need to buy materials, you need to hire consultants. So anything that you need to do your technology validation project, you can, and that would fit within the $90,000. So this is a great way to basically start your business while still working at the university. That's especially great for postdocs or graduate students who whose goal is to start the company and then go work at the company. So you can do this start while still working at the university and get University of Maryland health insurance and such. So a very safe way to do that. So it's a 9-month project. Here are some of the MII program metrics. So you can see it has a fairly high success rate, and it does take a bit of work to put together that application, but it does have much higher success rate than if you were to apply for an SBIR or some of the other grants. So to put together your application, you will be working with one of our site miners. They each are, they're not faculty, they are industry professionals, entrepreneurs, and they understand how to put together this application well, because not only they will be helping you put it together or guiding your writing, but they also will be the ones defending it in front of the reviewers. So the PIs do not go in front of the reviewers, our site miners do, and they know the experience and they know what type of questions your application will raise and what type of feedback you're likely to get from the reviewers. So it's important to work with them. So it's a 5-page application and it's very different from most of the academic applications or applications for academic grant funding. There's out of 5 pages, only about 1 is dedicated to technology, and the rest will be dedicated to the market, the commercialization plan, and such. And so these fantastic individuals will hopefully help you and guide you through that. So this is at the end of our phase 1, where you determine a feasibility, and hopefully you will have determined that it's a yes in a startup. And then you would move on to the startup formation. So you're done with your TEDCO MII grant and project. You have your market research. You have your commercialization plan in hand that you developed using TEDCO funding. So now you're ready to start a company. So you would form your company, license intellectual property from the University of Maryland, develop funding strategy, and start fundraising and actively building your minimum viable product. Well, first, you would start the company, you would go and register your company, either as an LLC or a corporation. And we do have a workshop that I can send you to on different types of company formation, different types of entities if you're interested. So once your company is formed, legally registered, you would work with Young Ventures to license any needed intellectual property into your company from the university. Faculty and student startups are eligible for express license terms, which are very favorable to a startup. However, please remember that if you're planning to use the University of Maryland name or logo, you need a separate license and permission for that. That can be granted by the University of Maryland Office of Trademarks and Licensing. Just don't forget about that. And at that point, you would also be eligible to apply for the company formation phase funding from TEDCO. It is not grant, so phase technology validation phase is a grant. You get it, you don't owe anything for it. $150,000 is a convertible debt note. It goes into the company. So there are terms attached to it. It's 8% interest for 5 years. And at the end, you could either repay it or it could be converted into equity if there is next round of financing. Again, this is not a grant. However, it is very early stage funding that's really difficult to come by in our area, in our region. It's easier to get than SBIR, and it's usually advisable to apply for, good idea to apply for TEDCO company formation phase money, and in the meantime, also apply for your SBIR grant. This money comes in faster than SBIR, and it can pay for some of the expenses that you can't use SBIR money for. So it's a good idea to apply for both at the same time. And usually for technology validation grant recipients who then apply for company formation, if your technology validation project was a success, it's usually very fairly easy to get this money if you were a successful phase 1 awardee. So we also recently launched at the University of Maryland Quantum Startup Foundry. So if your startup has or is dealing with quantum technology, there is a new program that assists with SBIR and SCTR, and also provides space, connection to investors, and many other services. And please contact Dr. Kuljakovic at the email listed there, or just let me know and I'll connect you. If you are a University of Maryland employee, faculty, postdoc, grad student employee, you are an employee of the state of Maryland, and thus state ethics laws apply. There are also, University of Maryland has conflict of interest policy, and the term conflict of interest denotes situations in which a member of the university community is in a position to gain personal benefit or financial advantage arising from the university position. If you are a University of Maryland employee, you need to submit a conflict of interest disclosure. It is required for all faculty and staff, and conflict of interest committee will review and develop a management plan if needed. They're usually very accommodating. We like these types of conflicts. We want our faculty and grad students to start companies. It's just that it needs to be done very transparently, and it's advisable that you do this early, just to make sure that you understand what potential conflicts are and manage them and figure out how to manage them early. And there's a link to the COI site, or you can just let me know and I will connect you with a committee. So University of Maryland also offers startup spaces. MTech Ventures has dedicated space for startups. There are other spaces maybe leased short term. So the goal is for university startups either to go into the MTech Ventures startup space, or if there's a very specific lab or equipment that you need to have and you absolutely have to have it, there is a way that other spaces may be available short term. Not all buildings on campus can be leased. but please let me know and I can help you figure that out. So startup companies would submit facility use application and obtain facility use license. Conflict of interest disclosure is a requirement to be able to obtain facility use license anywhere here on campus. So you should first do conflict of interest disclosure, develop your conflict management plan, and then submit facility use application. If you would like to be connected to people who manage spaces on campus to see if they have availability, please let me know and I will connect you. If none of the University of Maryland spaces work for you, or when the companies grow too big for the incubator space, there are other spaces available at the Discovery District across from the Baltimore Washington Boulevard. So you've noticed there's a lot of development here. It's a 150-acre research park adjacent to University of Maryland. There's WeWork, College Park, and many other dedicated spaces available for lease. Please contact Sandy Poppet to discuss it. So there are other tools and resources that we offer. So we offer to help you find potential CEO or business partner. If you are a faculty member, we would prefer that you keep working as a researcher or faculty teaching, and we can help find somebody who is an experienced business advisor or business partner who can lead the company while you keep doing your research and teaching at the university. Obviously, don't forget about the entrepreneurs in residence. We also make introductions to angel investors and venture capitalists, and we will help you prepare to pitch and negotiate the fundraising rounds. Business skill workshops, and we also connect startups with MBA student projects. There are several courses where MBA students are doing projects for local startups. It could be their strategy development or some of they act as consultants. It's a free service to you. And if you are one of the early startups, we usually try to place most of them through that program. So again, step 2, you formed your startup, you licensed the IP, found your space, and you're actively fundraising and developing a minimum viable product, and hopefully also lining up your first customers. Any questions? Do you have any questions? So next step would be startup acceleration. Startup is formed, the management team is in place, and the focus is really on product and service launch and customer acquisition. At this stage, the companies can apply for MIPs or Maryland Industrial Partnerships. It is a grant. It's a matching grant. So small companies put in $10,000. University matches $90,000. And the entire amount goes to a lab where a faculty member can do some sort of R&D technology validation type project for you, for your company. So it's very cost-effective way to finance your R&D, either R&D or education and training programs for your employees. And the grant can be renewed for a year too. So if you're interested, there's a contact and a website for more information. They accept applications quarterly. Maryland Momentum Fund is a venture-like fund run by the University System of Maryland. It's a $10 million fund that makes equity investments up to $500,000 into any company that has a University System of Maryland affiliation has to be either a student, alum, faculty, or IP-based startup. It's a matching investment, so somebody else has to lead the round, and you have to have a commitment for that funding before Momentum Fund will consider investing. There's the contact information and the website for more information. And again, many, the same resources still continue. And then step 4 is the goal is to develop into a self-sustaining startup where you have secured your financing, you have your customers, and the focus is on market share growth and revenue growth. At that point, we also ask companies that reach that stage to mentor some of the newer startups. And you can see some of them coming in and doing workshops as part of this series. Here's some success stories you may have heard recently. INQ went public with a $2 billion deal. We're very excited about that. It's a quantum computing startup. They are based here, still in College Park in the Discovery District, and we're very excited about this. Medcura is another University of Maryland startup that was started by a faculty member and his PhD student. The PhD student ultimately became the CEO and then the CTO. And you can buy the first product cleared by the FDA. You can actually buy this on Amazon or in select CVS nationwide. It's also really exciting for us. This is another one. This is in the previous 2 cases, the CEOs continued doing their research work at the University of Maryland, but in this case, N5 Sensors was started by a researcher who then decided to quit the university and do the startup full time. And N5 Sensors, so they're selling very small sensors that can develop various things in the air, various chemicals and gases and such. They are selling the products and generating revenue, and they received also a lot of SBIR funding. Some of the other success stories, and these are not all of them, it's just to show a variety of different companies. So Blue Lean is a skincare company. They offer anti-aging skincare line for men and women. MF Fire sell clean heating stoves. Agility is a drone company, and Grid Boost sells gel for football gloves or golf gloves, or you can also buy the gloves themselves from Grid Boost. So you can see that there's a big variety of different companies. So what should you do next? So your next steps, if you haven't done so, submit IP disclosure, sign up for the next University of Maryland I-Corps scheduled for January. If you haven't done that, sign up to meet with an entrepreneur in residence, sign up for any relevant workshops. The workshop schedule is continuously updated, so keep checking frequently. And also visit our YouTube channel, Startupguide YouTube channel, to see if there are any workshops that you've missed that look interesting to you. My contact information is listed here. Best way to reach me is by email. I usually respond within a day or 2, and happy to schedule additional time with you if needed, or please let me know if you have any questions. Happy to answer them right now. So thank you to those who came and stayed until the end. Now let's open the floor to questions. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I sort of came to ask you about was, are we the only ones on? Because I'm not mic'd.
Oh, the mic is on the,
Oh, okay, so there's some like somewhere.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and it's,
We're sort of unusual in that I'm not quite sure how to go after the next step, which would be step 1 or 2 with MII, as far as we have 2 questions. One is, we have disclosures, but they're provisional patents at this point. So beyond the one you were talking about earlier, we have 2 provisional patents that we're working on this year. The second piece is, I'm retired. So one of the things I learned when I retired was you have to be a full-time university employee, which I wound up retiring to be able to do more of this, and then I shot myself in the foot. So sort of those 2 things, I don't know whether we need to take other people's time on that, but I would
No,
like to ask you about that.
I can answer that question. So yes, you have to be a full-time PI. You have to be a full-time researcher at the university. In some cases, when it's, there were cases where it was a PhD student doing most of the work, or a postdoc, and some departments don't allow postdocs to apply for this funding. And so in that case, they found somebody else within their department willing to be the PI of record.
Sure.
And then the PI of record has to be comfortable enough with you to assume the responsibility for the funding. But then in the budget, it would, the budget would basically cover you or whoever the actual person who will be doing work. So that's one way to go around that.
Yeah, so that I was sort of aware of, and I've been thinking about, my department is so academically diverse that it's not that easy to find somebody who's really fairly close to this. The second question is, as far as provisional patents versus, you use the word disclosure, which can either mean disclosing to the university or disclosing to the patent office. Does it have to be an approved patent before you get funding?
No, so the disclosure that I was talking about, it's you telling the university about your invention.
Okay,
And then the university will look and do whatever is needed for patent protection. So university will then deal with the USPTO, and you don't need to worry about it. So there are some deadlines, it has to be converted within 1 year. And they will take care of, they'll bug you if they need information from you and such.
I'm worried about
But you can apply.
the
for
year and
provisional.
then waiting for the patent office to act in 18 months after that. I mean,
Right.
when does a disclosure make us eligible to be able to go after MII funding?
You can apply, so as soon as so when you disclose, you can start working on your application right away.
Okay,
In the meantime, the UN Mentor's Office will be aware that they need to file a provisional application before you submit your application.
we've got 2 provisionals already,
Right.
so we've got 6 or 7 months before we can complete them.
And they will convert them when they need to, when the time comes, but you don't need to worry about that.
Okay.
So provisional applications
Yeah.
are enough to apply for
Yeah,
the.
we've been
federal
working
funding.
with Amy for the last couple of years.
Okay, great.
So so we're collecting data to go from provisional to the true disclosure with the patent office, but I wasn't sure which disclosure you were talking about as far as where we needed to be on MII. Because I was aware of having to get a partner in my area, but the other one is.
Yeah, so you can go ahead and start working on your application.
Okay. Thank you.
So, yeah, you're welcome. I'm not sure if we have any other questions. I don't see any. And if you don't have any more questions, I'd like to thank you for stopping by and attending. Please feel free to send me an email with any additional questions to follow up. Thank you.